आज के इस लेक्चर में हम बताएंगे आपको अबाउट दी इंडस्ट्रियल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कि इंडस्ट्रियल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के बेसिक एलिमेंट्स क्या हैं और इलेक्ट्रिकल ड्राइव से क्या मकसद है. सो द इलेक्ट्रिकल ड्राइव. In this lecture we will see what DC and AC motors are and how we can control their speeds. So to control the speed, what are the available devices and what equipment is required, that we will see in the upcoming lectures. The subject we are studying here is industrial electronics, so which means that we are dealing with different kind of industrial and domestic applications. For example, you must be aware of the industrial applications such as hydraulic pumps, hydraulic machines, gas turbines and steam turbines. There are different types of washing machines that you can use for your domestic applications. So what is basically drive? Like how can you say that what is the meaning of the drive? So these are the different applications where we need to control the speed of the motors. For example, basically speed control, what do you mean by speed control? So speed control is nothing but the motion control. And the device that is used to control the motion is usually known as the drive. जो डिवाइस मोशन को कंट्रोल करने के लिए यूज़ होती है या स्पीड को कंट्रोल करने के लिए यूज़ होती है, सो दैट डिवाइस, द नेम ऑफ दैट डिवाइस इज़ बेसिकली द ड्राइव. So the drive which is used to control the motion of any appliance or any motor, you can say that device is called a drive. Now if that drive is using some electronic equipment, then that particular drive is called an electronic drive. And you know there are many types of drives. Like you can have either a conventional drive or an electric drive. Basically the speed of the motor which is to be controlled, that motor can be either AC or DC. Like in the industry, either you are working on AC motors or either you are working on the DC motors. So particularly in this lecture we will discuss about the DC motors, and we will see what are those parameters that need to be controlled to control the speed of the motor. Like if you want to control the speed of the motor, so what are the parameters that need to be considered about the AC motor? Like if you want to control the speed of the AC motor, so that is the basic elements of the electrical drive. Like if you want to control the speed of DC motor, if you want to control the speed of a motor, so that these are the fundamental blocks that usually used in order to control the speed of the motor. The first block is the energy block, and the second block is the power modulator, and then motor, and then load. But in between motor and load you have a sensing unit, and then you are getting a signal back from the sensing unit to the control unit, where you are also applying the input signals, and both based on the feedback signal and the input commands, the control unit works and send that signal, or you can say the control signal, to the power modulator, where the power modulator decides either it needs to increase the speed or it needs to decrease the speed. We will discuss all these blocks one by one. The first one is the energy. You know that if you are providing some energy, and how are you going to control the speed? And how will you control the motion? Is nothing just by controlling the power of the energy to be provided to the device. Basically for any particular circuit or for any device, you need to have supply source, either the supply voltage or the supply current. So it means that either you need to control the energy source. So that supply is nothing but an energy source from which you are going to provide the energy to that particular drive or that particular circuit. The second one is the power modulator. You need to modulate the power, so that's why you need power modulator. So why modulation is required, or what exact power you need to modulate for that particular load that should be controlled by some mechanism. And because as per the requirement of application, you need to provide source energy or energy to the load, so that you should be modulated either by the feedback or automatically without feedback. Basically, you are going to have a closed loop control and open loop control. So this is the concept that we are going to use in AC motor or in DC motor. Basically, it is open loop control when there is a no feedback, and you already know about this concept. If there is a feedback, like for the output is connected to the input, so it means that there is a feedback. If there is a feedback, then the loop is closed, so it is known as a closed loop. But if there is a no feedback, the output signal is not connected to the input signal, so it means that there is a no feedback, and it is known as a open loop control. So in open loop control, the output is not feeding back to the input, while in the closed loop, the output is feeding back to the input. So the power modulation can be done on the basis of feedback signal to be provided to the particular module. The second is the sensing unit. So sensing unit, it is connected between the motor and the load, where the motor is a device. The mechanism of load can be controlled by using a motor. So to control the load mechanism or to control the operation of a load, you have to change the speed of the motor. So then ultimately the motor will take some action as per the requirement. So here are some parameters. For example, if you are controlling the speed of a turbine, then speed can be fed back. So the sensing unit can be a speed sensor, like depending on the type of the application that you are using. If it is a temperature, then you are using the temperature sensor. The other one is the input command that you are giving to the control. What does mean about the input command? Like the speed can be fed back to the control unit. So you can give the input command to the control unit. The input command can be in the form of set signals that you have already defined. So you can set the speed of the motor. The input command means that a particular speed should be maintained. For the maintained speed, the drive will work properly. Then control unit. So if there is a problem, like if the speed is more, you will get negative feedback. So if you compare the reference speed and the attained speed, and if the attained speed is more than the reference speed, you will get a negative error. Similarly, if the attained speed is less than the reference, so it means that input speed or the set speeds, then you will get a positive error. Basically, you are getting the error, and that error is nothing but the control signal that you are giving to the power modulator. Then if there is an error present, whether it is a positive or negative, depending on that, it will modulate the speed of the motor, which means it can tell you whether you need to increase or decrease the speed of the motor. So this action can be taken based on the control signal that you will get at the power modulator. Conclusion. So what you have learned in these lectures, basically this is how we will change the speed of the motor. Like we want to see the process or the phenomenon or the mechanism, that how we can change the speeds and what are the major blocks that are used in changing the speed of the motor. And then in the next lectures, what we will learn, that how we will change the speed of the motor, whether the motor is AC or DC, or how we can sense the parameter for a different